Before the Philippines had a president, before it had a flag, it had barangays. And no, they weren't just neighborhoods. They were floating societies, built on kinship, trade, tradition, and trust. The word itself comes from balangay, the boats our ancestors sailed. They didn't need kings. They had datus, leaders chosen by the people, not crowned by a foreign throne. Justice didn't come from a courthouse. It came from the council, the elders, the stories passed down under trees, not written in law books. This wasn't chaos. This was order, Filipino order. So the next time someone says we had no system before the West arrived, remember this: the barangay wasn't a colony. It was a community, and it governed itself just fine. A barangay wasn't born on land, it came from the sea. The word comes from balangay, the boats that carried early Filipinos across island chains. These weren't rafts of escape, they were vessels of intention. People arrived, settled, and formed tight-knit communities guided by shared customs. A barangay wasn't a street name. It was a system of survival. Dozens of families, often blood-related, living together with mutual trust. Trade, protection, dispute resolution, spirituality, it all happened within the barangay. It was both home and homeland, a living structure that adjusted to the tides, not just of water, but of human need. A Datu wasn't a tyrant sitting on a throne. He was a leader standing among his people, chosen for courage, wisdom, or lineage, but never above accountability. His power didn't come from a crown, it came from the trust of those around him. The Datu listened before he spoke. He governed with the help of a council, elders, warriors, spiritual leaders. Leadership was communal, not centralized. If a Datu abused his role, people could leave and form a new barangay. That was the real check and balance, the freedom to walk away. He didn't rule from above, he guided from within. There were no written laws, but that didn't mean lawlessness. Custom, called batasan, was passed down through generations. Elders recited stories that taught what was right, fair, and honorable. When conflicts happened, they gathered under trees, not in courtrooms. Resolutions were communal. The goal wasn't punishment, it was peace. Disputes were settled through dialogue, apology, and often restitution. Jail wasn't the answer, restoration was. Justice wasn't cold and distant. It was personal, and it belonged to everyone. In many barangays, power wasn't limited by gender. Women could be Babaylan, spiritual leaders, healers, and advisors. They were guardians of ritual, memory, and balance. A Babaylan wasn't secondary to the Datu. She was parallel. Her influence reached deep into decisions about health, harmony, and even warfare. Some were feared, many were revered. Filipino society once honored a balance of masculine and feminine forces. That wisdom has been buried, but not lost. When the colonizers came, they didn't destroy the barangay. They repurposed it. The Spanish used the existing structure to control populations. The Datu became the cabeza de barangay, a tax collector, a proxy for Spanish will. What was once communal became colonial. What was chosen became inherited. And what was free became fixed. The barangay survived, but it was no longer its true self. It became a shell of what it once stood for: cooperation, consensus, and self-rule. Today, the barangay is the smallest unit of government in the Philippines. But small doesn't mean powerless. In times of crisis, floods, fires, and even pandemics, it's often the barangay that acts first. Modern barangay captains issue IDs and settle disputes, but the heart of the barangay, community, still lives on in acts of bayanihan. Maybe the system changed, but the spirit hasn't died. We just need to remember who we were, to rebuild what we still could be. The barangay wasn't about borders. It was about belonging. Before institutions, there were intentions. Before flags, there were families. Before constitutions, there were conversations under trees. We didn't need marble halls to govern with wisdom. We had elders, stories, rituals, and circles. Not everything old is outdated. Some things are just waiting to be remembered.